Tonight, we're going to drift into a story that has echoed through the centuries, a legend from the heart of South America about a mythical city of gold called El Dorado. But what if the story we all think we know isn't the real story at all? Let's settle in and uncover the truth behind this golden dream.
So just for a moment, let your eyes close. To really feel this legend, you have to imagine where it all began. And it wasn't in some grand palace, but somewhere much, much deeper, more mysterious.
Picture an endless jungle, so vast and dense that its secrets could lie hidden forever. You can almost feel the warm, damp air. And in this place, deep in the heart of the Amazon, the very first whispers of the El Dorado legend began to take root.
All right, so here's where the story takes its first and most important turn. The legend of El Dorado, well, it didn't start with a city. It started with a man. It all came from a sacred ritual that, over time, was completely misunderstood. You see, the Muisca people, who lived in what we now call Colombia, had this beautiful coronation ceremony. When a new chief came to power, his body was covered from head to toe in shimmering gold dust. Then, he'd be taken out on a raft to the middle of a sacred lake where he would wash it all off, a truly magnificent offering to the gods. And that's the key to this whole story. El Dorado was never a place to begin with. The name literally means the Golden Man. It wasn't a city, it was a title, given to this leader who became a kind of living offering. But you know how stories go. As tales of the Golden Man made their way across the ocean to Europe, things got exaggerated. The story twisted and grew with every retelling, fueled by a powerful mix of awe, imagination, and, of course, greed. And you can really see the change here. The reality was a sacred spiritual ritual for one golden man, but that transformed into the myth of an entire golden city. A leader's quiet anointment became this wild fantasy of temples with golden walls and streets paved with gold, just filled with treasures for the taking.
So what happens next? What happens when a story like that, a simple misunderstanding, collides with an insatiable hunger for wealth? Well, it sets off one of the most obsessive and ultimately tragic treasure hunts in human history. It truly became an obsession, a kind of gold fever. For generations, explorers and conquistadors were absolutely consumed by one single thought: finding this glittering city they were so sure was hiding somewhere deep within the jungle. And so, the great search began. For nearly 200 years, thousands upon thousands of men marched into the Amazon, completely convinced that unimaginable riches were waiting for them just beyond the next river bend. But the jungle, well, the jungle doesn't give up its secrets. These searchers faced starvation, terrible diseases, and even betrayals from within their own ranks. They wrote about seeing mysterious shadows moving through the trees. The vast majority of them, they never came back. Gonzalo Pizarro's journey is probably one of the most famous examples. He and his men were guided only by rumors, marching for months through impossible terrain, suffering incredible hardships. And in the end, they found no golden city, no glittering temples. All they found were more stories, more whispers of a place that was always, somehow, just over the next horizon. After centuries of this, after so many failed expeditions, the thinking started to shift. People began to realize maybe El Dorado wasn't a place you could actually find on a map. And the idea started to evolve from a physical location into something much more powerful, a metaphor.
So, does that mean El Dorado doesn't exist? That it was all just a fantasy? A story that led so many astray? Well, yes and no. Today, we understand El Dorado as a beautiful symbol. It represents that deep, eternal search we all have for our own perfect hidden paradise. For some, that might be wealth, but for others, it's knowledge, or finding peace, or chasing a dream. El Dorado is the ultimate prize we're all looking for, even if it isn't made of gold. And so, the mystery lives on. Not buried in some lost corner of the jungle, but in the power of the idea itself.
Because in the end, El Dorado is so much more than a city. It's a dream of finding that one perfect, untouched place. And that's a feeling we can all understand.
And maybe that's the real treasure of this story. The legend teaches us that what's truly valuable isn't always the goal we're chasing, but everything we discover about ourselves and about the world along the way. So as you drift off, think about the Golden Man and the sacred lake. Think about the dream that he inspired and what you find on your own path. Now, rest.